Welcome on to the show, man. So here we are, Forge Father FM, another success story interview. So I'm excited to have you on. It's been a while. It's been some time since we started this journey, but we're in a completely different place. So I'm excited to have you kind of share your journey thus far and give us some tips and tricks on how you've created success for yourself, being a new dad, new business owner, because I remember when we first initially spoke, there was a lot of different challenges that you had to overcome over that time, but you've certainly overcome those and have done much more. So thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, man. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's been a journey.
absolutely, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you and let you do a little bit of a introduction of who you are. Who is Isaiah, this guy that has completely got shredded over the last couple of months, man.
I'm Isaiah. I'm 25 years old. I'm married. I live just an hour away from Travis in Lincoln, Nebraska. I have a 1 year and 8 month old um, with another one on the way. And yeah, I own my own business, so I work from home. Comes with its challenges when you have a 1 year old running around. And yeah, things are going great, but I hopped into Forge Father, and it's been life changing to say the least.
Absolutely. So, well, congrats on the new edition that's coming in January, which you just told me about that. So, and we were joking before we push record here about how things are gonna go through another evolution once that new baby arrives. You guys probably have gotten into somewhat of a good routine thus far with your son, but that's soon to change here, right? So gotta do it, anything and everything you can to prepare yourself for those changes. But thing is, there's not a book or there's not a manual on that stuff. You just kind of figure it out as you go, right? So, but yeah, let's go back in time and talk about, I guess, where were we before we started this journey. I can remember the initial conversation that we had, but um, what do you remember about that? Where were you at that point?
Yeah, I my son was like 6 months old, so I remember being I remember getting to a place where I was just like, I couldn't lose any weight. And like, so just like a quick backstory, I've always sort of worked out, like ever since I was in high school. Working out has just been a passion of mine. I had previously lost 30 pounds. So when I had my son 6 months after like struggling to lose weight, I was pretty like frustrated with myself. Because I had lost weight before, and now everything that I was trying wasn't working, or at least I thought that was the reason it wasn't working. So I was pretty frustrated. I was stuck. I hadn't been working out for a while, um, because lack of sleep, and I made all these excuses. Sleep is real, but I made a bunch of excuses. So I was just at a place where I was like, I'm ready to get back on the train and get back into shape and not look the way I do, because I was pretty puffy. So that's where I was just really struggling. And honestly, I believed my metabolism was. I honestly remember thinking that maybe I just had the dad. Maybe I was just stuck with the dad bod, and that was going to be my lot in life because I had a
Yeah,
child.
that's what happens. It like the universe knows that as soon as you have a kid, it's like boom, slap the dad bod on them, right? So,
Yeah.
but I really think, I mean, you bring that up. This is something that's very important to shed light on, is a lot of guys adopt that mindset, and that's what they think, is they're like, well, I got a kid now, he's taking most of my time, I'm busy with all these other things, I guess I'm just supposed to be soft and overweight and got this dad bod now, right? And you mentioned metabolism, like there's no way you being 25, I mean, you were what, 24 when you first started, right? Yeah, there's no way your metabolism is even within the conversation unless we got some serious medical stuff going on, but that wasn't the case. So I'm curious, what were some of the things that you were trying before? Like what were you doing from like a training perspective, nutrition? What did that stuff look like for you?
Yeah, before we started working together, I believe at that time I started working out like 3 times a week. And as far as nutrition goes, I was trying something I did before. And what I did before was I was single, so I had more time. I had a little bit more discipline, less excuses, right? So it was a combination of like intermittent fasting and just really strict dieting.
Mhm.
So I had counted my calories before that. I knew how to do all that stuff. And I learned after working through Forge Father that I'm a very like all or nothing mentality type of a guy. And
Mhm.
so before we started working together, that's was like my approach was like just 100% strict, clean
Yeah.
dieting, and I'm gonna just fast every day, because that's what I did before, and that's how I lost weight. But so that's what I was doing before.
And that's interesting that you bring that up because I had a conversation with Steve, which I'm not sure if you've seen his before and after progress. Steve Batchelor, who is almost twice the age as you. He's what, 44 now, but same story. It was like all or nothing. So he'd do great for 30 days or so, be spot on with his nutrition, then he'd have a bad weekend, and so he'd just kind of say, "Screw it, let's make this into a bad couple of weeks, and then get back on the wagon," and just kind of going through that process. And it's certainly doable because I remember when I was younger and single, you have more time. You don't have all these extra responsibilities, so it's easier to kind of get away with being all in those cases, right? So, but talk about, I guess, what were some of the switches that we made once you got started?
Yeah, so I think a big switch to training was the approach, just less rest times and kind of more of the approach with the supersets or triple sets, but just not going as far into failure. That was like super like a way different approach that I thought, because I think I was doing cardio before we
Hmm.
started working together, and so it was like when I started working with you is like, oh, I can combine I can combine the elements of strength training. I can get in those compound lifts, get stronger at those, and still like get my heart rate up. Trigger the same things as the cardio was doing. So that was a big difference that I personally really liked. Sweated a lot, but it was a whole lot easier to get an hour's worth of training in than going to the gym, doing, bodybuilding exercises, and then 30 minutes of cardio afterwards.
Yeah.
So that saved me time. And honestly, I remember like hanging out, playing football with my friends, and after I had energy, and everyone was like super wore out, and
Mhm.
so that was a cool feeling to have, kind of be the only dad there who is the out conditioned, all the other dudes.
Yeah.
Um, so there was that, and then the diet was like a whole. The approach was a whole lot more flexible. So I didn't intermittent fast. It was just I learned that it can just be 80% clean. And I really looked forward to setting aside like 2 to 300 calories at the end of the day to enjoy like a dessert or like the 95% fat free popcorn, like just something that I look forward to at the end of the day, to make sure I was keeping my sanity.
Hmm.
Uh, but I knew that as long as I got in the majority, 85, 80%, 90% of my foods were clean. And that was honestly pretty easy. That I was good to go, and it worked. It worked.
Absolutely. I remember one of the big things was when we first started. we were telling you to eat more. We were like, dude, we got to get your calories up. We got to get more protein in. And oftentimes guys are a little bit hesitant to do that because they're afraid that they're going to gain a bunch of weight. And in fact, I remember that's when you started to actually shred some pounds and your body composition actually started to improve while we were eating more, right? So we are just getting that metabolism fired up a little bit more. And, that's kind of when things really started to take off, right? But it didn't come without some barriers and some bumps in the road, right? Talk a little bit about some of the things that I ran into. I remember you started just having issues with your toe, and like you were getting all banged up, man. So talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it was just being heavier than my body was used to. But yeah, um I did something to my toe. I've seen a foot doctor. He called it turf toe.
Mm-hmm.
Recently saw a foot doctor for that. Still having issues actually
Yeah.
here and there, if I push it too hard. But yeah, I had I injured my toe and wasn't able to walk on it for like 6 weeks. Like no
Yeah.
weight at all for
Yeah.
about 6 weeks. And yeah, I continued training though.
Mm-hmm.
I kept training, kept pushing through, kept counting my calories. I wasn't going to let that stop me, and just did all of this stuff that you can do with a flat foot because
Yep.
it's that joint that bends up. So
Yep.
I just
The flexion. Yep.
squats and deadlifts. I just
Mm-hmm.
kept doing squats and deadlifts and did what I could, and um, yeah, just kind of worked through it. It took a long time to get to the point where I can actually walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was a big hurdle.
Yeah. That's really a pivotal moment if you think about it, because it's like at that point you have two different options, right? Like option one is obviously to, just put your head down and figure out what you can do and push forward, which is the hard thing to do. And then the other option is obviously just to say, well, I guess this is a sign, I got injured, so I better stop, right? And that's unfortunately what a lot of guys do, right? Like 80% do that. The other 20%, they figure out a way to get it done, right? And so we were able to push forward and um, you know, work ourselves through that injury and kind of navigate through that, right? So, but in terms of overall progress, what have your overall results been? What is it, about 20-ish, 30-ish pounds that you lost? What was the
Yeah,
total on that?
I'll be fully transparent. Yeah, when we started working together, we bumped up my calories. I stayed around the same weight.
Yep.
And like you said, my body composition just changed. I got stronger than I ever was. And then um, I went out on vacation to California and kind of ate
Mhm.
like a pig for 2 weeks. And so I got to the point where I was really big. Like I got the biggest I've ever been in my life, which was 235 pounds. I came back from California and I decided like that was it. I had it.
Yep.
Uh, I was it was pretty pathetic. I had never seen myself that big. And so that's when things started to change, started shredding a little bit. Didn't do anything super drastic with you. Um, Lost 10 pounds and then we got super serious
Mhm.
and cut calories and started shredding, lost 25. I'm 196 and I was like 222 at that time. So I don't know what the math is on that, but somewhere around 25 pounds. I think that's
Mhm.
exactly 25 pounds
Yeah.
in 3 months. I think I did that in 3 months.
Yep. I remember
So
that. I remember that when you went to vacation and indulged, you enjoyed yourself, right? You came back and we really just kind of reset. And I think that's important to point that out because a lot of people, they get back from vacation and then they're like, okay, I got to go crazy. I got to cut my calories like way down. I got to cut all my carbs and let's go ahead and double up the cardio and just go balls to the wall, right? And that's when people burn out. So when you came back, one of the things I remember telling you was just let's get back to homeostasis. Like let's get consistent, tracking your intake again, get back into the routine with training. And then I remember I asked you, I was like, are you ready to go into a shred at this point? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. So that's when we kind of cranked up the dial and things started to really change at that point, right? So, but yeah, it's interesting how that works, man. So,
Yeah.
and I'd say your body fat now, based off of your pictures, have you gotten your body fat tested recently? Like, where are you at? My
Not,
guess is probably about 11, maybe even 10%, maybe even lower.
yeah. I
Pretty
mean, I
lean.
don't know. The caliber says like 11%.
Hmm.
I think the last time I did the caliber method, I haven't like done a DEXA or
Yeah,
any of those other ones. But yeah, I can see veins I've never seen before. So
yeah. It's pretty, that type of stuff is exciting, like when you finally stay consistent and you just kind of work the process and trust the process, and you get to these points where it almost, and I talked about this today in the private group, and it's like doing the boring work. Like, you get to a certain point where your nutrition is dialed in, your training is just, it's working. Don't change anything. Like, you don't need to jump ship to this new fancy program or try this new fancy diet tactic that you just saw. It's like, just do the boring work, and it's going to be the boring work that really gets you the results that you desire, right? And
yeah.
so,
And I wanted to like, where is it? I wanted to bring up um I think something like my all or nothing mentality had a massive play in this.
mhm,
Um I guess it would be hard to show it. But I was going to show like the weight loss scale, like, and it's hard because day to day it goes up and down, right?
yep,
So that was like the another hurdle that I ran into is like some weeks it was like up down, and
yep,
I wouldn't see it drop below a certain number, but
mhm,
I just had to trust the process. Like just
yep,
keep hitting, just keep hitting it, keep hitting the calories, keep doing the thing,
yep.
do
We'll be done in a bit. We'll be done in a bit.
just stay on it, keep doing exactly what I was doing, trust the process. Because before I would have like jumped ship, like you said,
Mhm. Yep,
change my training or cut calories.
yep,
um, so it was pretty cool to see like getting into that second week and then it would drop. So it was kind of weird. Is like it would go down and maybe like sit at the same, and then second week drop, and it might drop for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it would
yeah,
like come out a little bit and then and drop again. And I
mhm,
wasn't changing anything. It was just it's the way the body works, I
yep,
guess. But it took a lot of trust that
mhm.
it's going to be okay.
And yeah, we were communicating through that process, and I think this, obviously, I'm biased. I think everybody needs a coach when if this isn't your like profession, like, I ask you for advice with your expertise as far as like copywriting and stuff goes, right? But there's a certain point where if you're really wanting to drastically change your body composition and you don't know a thing about when to change your macros or change your training up or whatever. I remember there were certain points where we were going through the process, but it was time to make a change. Like, your sleep started to get bad. You weren't recovering as much from workouts, and you just kind of, energy was tanking. So it was like, at that point, well, we need to go into a little bit of a refuel. We need to add some more calories in, get you refueled. I remember we did that, and then we cut you back down. And that's, you kind of, it's like a stair step approach. When you're looking to lose body fat, it's never going to be a straight line down, unfortunately, right? But you're going to shred a little bit of body fat, you're going to level out for a little bit, you'll shred a little bit more, you'll level out. And when you do it that way, we're getting you to the point where you can sustain this. We just put you in a little bit of a refuel, and you can stay there. You don't lose all the results over a week or 2 weeks of just binging, because you've been enjoying those little indulgences, along the way. But I'm sure, and you can just share a little bit about this, in regards to, having gone through this process, like the skill set that you've developed and the habits and the routines that you've had to develop, to get consistent with it. Like, what's a typical day for you look like as far as like nutrition goes?
Yeah, as far as nutrition, I actually was thinking about that today, because it's almost effortless. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. My wife is like, I don't know how you can do that, because I've been weighing every piece of almost every single piece of food that I've put in my body for the last year. But it's not a like nuisance.
Mhm.
It's almost like a requirement.
Yeah.
Uh, for me personally, it's necessary for me. It's something I don't mind doing, and I'm used to it and
Yep.
easy. But yeah, as far as nutrition goes, it just depends. Every day's kind of different. I train in the mornings. I train fasted personally because I just do. I feel better. Train without food, and I'll have a post workout meal. Most of the time, that just consists of a really big bowl of um, oatmeal, just because I love carbs after a workout,
Mhm.
and I won't really eat carbs for lunch. Or I will do like a protein shake
Sure.
with, and I might, it depends, right?
Yeah.
So it's just whatever. I'm really just trying to like hit certain macros, try to get in 40 grams of protein, try to get in a decent like 50 grams of carbs, a little bit of fat is fine. And then I'll typically that's around like 9 o'clock. Then I'll
Mhm.
work, eat lunch. Most of my lunches consist of, and I'll be honest, sometimes I go to Chipotle. Call me a freak, but
One of my favorites.
I call me a freak, but I pull out the meat.
You pull
I
out the
pull
meat?
out
You don't eat
I
the
pull
meat?
out,
That's your,
no, I
oh, you
pull
like
out the
separate
meat.
it?
I pull out the meat and I weigh the meat. I pull
Oh,
out the
okay.
rice. I weigh the rice because it's different every time.
Yep, true.
They kill me every time. If I
Mhm.
want to average, sometimes I'm like, I've been doing this for a while. I'll
Yep.
just go for a basic average.
Yeah.
Um, but I had to start doing that so I knew what I was putting
Yeah.
in my body.
Yeah.
So I typically like to do like a solid like steak or chicken, a carb for lunch.
Yep.
And, same thing for dinner. I try to get in for dinner. I try to just have a bigger dinner,
Mhm.
more carbs, a lot more carbs. Most of my carbs are in my dinner.
Mhm.
Um, and then, steak, chicken, veggies. Um, as far as carbs go, sometimes it's pasta, sometimes it's potatoes, sometimes
Yeah.
it's rice. It
Yeah.
just really depends.
How does that mesh in with your family? Like with your wife? Like, do you eat the same meals as her? Do you guys plan together, or how's that look for you? Because I know it's different for a lot of guys in the program.
Yeah, so it's kind of changed. It's changed, and what I mean by that is like my wife has been a little sick with the pregnancy,
Mhm.
so there's a little more room for me to kind of just do what I want. Because sometimes she's just honestly, she's like chicken and rice sounds amazing, and
Yeah.
that's what she's eating for dinner, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like yes.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, I don't just eat chicken and rice.
Mhm.
I have to mix it up.
Yeah.
So when I say chicken and rice, that's like a meal that can has that. That could be Chinese, Mexican,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Um, so as far as like right now, it's pretty easy. But before she really got sick, it just came down to just me tracking stuff. But I
Yep.
I had to have a talk with my wife.
Yeah.
Like
You gotta communicate it.
these are my goals. It's not if I let's plan out dinners so that we can be on the same page, so that if you make something, I'm not going to be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to eat that, because there were a few times where I was like, that's just, I can't hit my macros with with that, and it sounded
Yeah.
horrible,
Yeah.
but my goal was a whole lot, like my vision for where I wanted to be and what I wanted to look like and how I wanted to feel was a lot more important to me than um, having a meal that was loaded in cups and cups of heavy cream. Like I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I don't care about that. So
Mhm.
um, I think it just comes down to having a conversation with your wife and coming to agreement, like meeting in the middle.
Yep.
Like we can still enjoy really good dinners, um, but let's talk about it before
Yep.
that happens.
I think that's huge that you had that in, is you got to communicate. And one of the first things that we do in Forge Father is we get very, very clear on our MVP, right? Like your mission, vision, purpose. And one of the things is to share that with your better half. I can't believe how many guys, keep that stuff to themselves. And then when it comes to dinner time, they're like, oh, I can't eat that. Why? I'm tracking my macros. Like, don't worry about it. And they try to like keep it secret and hidden. Then you're going to get more resistance. Then you're going to get more shit for that. Right. So if you just open up, communicate about it, say, honey, I need to get this 40 pounds off. I need to lose this 30 pounds. Like, so I need to like be a little bit dialed in with my nutrition for the time being. And I just need your help on, like, I don't think your wife is too upset with, the results that you've accomplished over the time, huh? Like she's not too
Yeah,
mad about that, right? So
yeah. We won't get into that.
yeah,
We'll keep
yeah,
it PG.
yeah. Well, you are having another baby, so I guess
Yeah.
that speaks for itself, right? But
Yeah.
no, other than that, I mean, so obviously starting this journey, you've made amazing progress with your fitness, with your health. You've created new routines and have built new skill sets around training and nutrition. I'm curious about the business side of things. Like, how has this crossed over and helped you as a business owner um, over the course of the last couple of months?
Yeah, I think there's like two sides to it. So every business is a brand. Like, for me, I'm kind of by myself right now.
Yep.
So I am my own brand and I'm my own business. And I strongly believe, and actually there's studies that like prove that people who are in shape are more successful. They're more respected. Um, and so just the outward appearance,
Yep.
personally I believe has an impact on the people I talk to, um,
Those.
and stuff. But the biggest thing I would say is just uh, the confidence, the belief that I have in myself. The when you lose 40 pounds, like your trust in yourself is
Oh,
huge, right?
huge.
If you can trust yourself and then you go and you do the thing and you lose 40 pounds and you're looking at yourself every single day seeing physical representation of I set a goal and I achieved that goal.
Mhm.
I'm seeing that pay off on the business side too. I've already doubled. I've already made what I did in the last 6 months than I did in the entire year last year.
Yep.
So, and I strongly believe that a large portion of that is attributed to just this process of losing the weight. Not only losing the weight, but I have more energy. The confidence is there. I'm more disciplined. I'm more routine.
Yep.
I had a
Yep.
problem procrastinating before.
Yep.
That's not really a problem as much. Like sometimes we slip, but
Mhm. Yep.
yeah, I've seen massive differences in both the number side of business, but also just the way I show up talking to clients, the
Yep.
way I feel about myself, my confidence approaching business.
Yeah. And just having been in the game myself, like as a business owner for 15 plus years, and having to you know learn how to market and put myself out there. You say brand is everything as a business owner, especially if it's like your business, like you've built it, like you speak volumes when you show up. You're like representing the brand, right? But something I really admire with you is, here you are 25 years old, and you're working with some big dogs, right? And that means you're mingling with some guys that have been in the game for a very long time in your profession. You're a copywriter, right? So any of you business owner marketers out there, I'll just tell you right now, like Isaiah is the man when it comes to copywriting. Like he knows his thing. So definitely need to get in touch with him. But that right there takes balls. But when you have the confidence to back that, uh, it's just going to help you become that much more successful. And it's something that I always talk about inside the brotherhood, but it's like, show me your habits. I'll I'll be able to see your results, right? And so habits are everything, but it's having the discipline to stick with those habits and take the actions necessary to do the things that we need to do to get the outcomes and the results that we want. So, and it's the same for everything. I mean, with your business, I'm sure there's days where you show up and you just don't have that fire, you don't have that motivation, or you just don't feel like doing it that day. I know I have those days too, but doing the things no matter what is what counts, man. So, but no, that's amazing. And so the progress that I've seen just from a physical and mental side of things, even like a business side of things, it's been pretty awesome, man. So with that, I guess for you, what's one of the biggest ahas that you've had just over this process? Anything in particular?
I think the biggest one is just the amount of impact that my thoughts had on me. Like we mentioned before,
Yep.
I thought metabolism was slow. I thought I just had the dad bod. And so really just like the biggest aha was, I guess it's two things. Number one, like how powerful my mind was and
Yep.
talking me out of getting, like once I made that switch, once I just was like, trust the process, we're going to do it no matter what it takes. And we're just going to like turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything happened. And it was just really my mind holding me back from the results. So that was a big aha moment I had. And the second one is just like looking this way doesn't have to require, eating chicken, rice, and vegetables every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You can still enjoy the things you love. You can still, there were weeks I had Chipotle like 4 times a week, still losing weight.
Nothing wrong with that.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it was one of those things where as a like all or nothing person, I was like, I can have balance.
Yep.
There's some balance. It's been a good like learning lesson for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good for me to see that.
Yep.
But I think that was the biggest one is like,
Yep.
I can have
Once we
balance.
finish this call, we're about done. Going out for a preschool. Well, girls are going back to school tomorrow, so we're taking them to this cafe downtown. It's like the Monster Cafe. So it's got like all these old school monsters around the cafe. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pumped to go down there. But
That's
anyway,
cool.
as you were saying.
No, yeah, I just think that was the biggest one. Just the balance,
Yep.
especially having a kid now. My
Mm-hmm.
life is completely different. Gonna have 2 kids. The discipline, the structure is massive and it's huge. Planning my days ahead sometimes, or every night I try to plan my day ahead. Write down how many calories, what are my macros, what am I gonna hit? But also having like that flexible approach and just being balanced has been probably the coolest thing to be able to see. To see, wow, I got these results and I wasn't starving. You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely, man. Well, it's been a great ride thus far, and I'm excited to see where we can continue to take this on into the future, and especially with the new edition coming in January. Now we just got to do everything we can to prepare ourselves so we're ready to rock and roll for that, man. But Isaiah, appreciate you coming on, man. I know you're busy, you got a lot of things going on, so I really appreciate the time.
I appreciate it too, and appreciate the help and the guidance along the way, and the patience, listening to my worries and excuses that I had, and working me through those and helping me get to this point.
And yeah, you bring that up. I remember initially before we even spoke on the phone, we were just going back and forth text message, and I remember you had just made a big decision to go all in as far as your business went, and we were kind of going back and forth like, I'm going to put this off, I don't think I'm ready to start. And I really challenged you, and I'm happy that you accepted that challenge, man, because here we are, right? So a lot of big things coming, brother. So, well, again, thanks for coming on, man. Let's continue to put in the work and earn it, brother.
Let's do it. I appreciate it, man.
You bet, brother.